Today we're going to show you the RS uplight. We've already installed it, it's already wired, but I want to show you a couple features that are nice about this. This one's been in for a while. We've used it to highlight this tree here, and as you can see, it's not too far back from the base. That's a common mistake, that people tend to bring that light too far back and try and point it at the canopy, and what happens is you miss a lot of the trunking structure and stuff.
Hey guys, it's Cal from the Lighting Doctor, and fall is upon us. It is probably one of our busiest seasons for landscape lighting because the days are getting shorter, so you can actually see what your lights look like before you go to bed. So it's a great time to go and start looking at your landscape lighting plan. So go to lightingdoctor.ca, go and access all our free resources, including our free consultation where we help you design and build your own do-it-yourself landscape lighting kit, and our try it before you buy it offers where you can actually go test and feel what a real quality fixture should look like. And if you got more questions, just go to YouTube, subscribe to our channel for hundreds of great do-it-yourself videos, or search Lighting Doctor in the search bar.
So good rule of thumb, obviously the bigger the tree, you're probably going to have it a little bit further back so you don't create a big hot spot, but 12 to 24 to 36 inches back is a great way. But a great way to, or a great tip, is that you almost always want to adjust that light more upright than you actually think. So many people put it far back and they point it at the canopy, and what that does, it creates a big hot spot. Whereas if you get it a little bit more upright, it tends to do a better job of highlighting the trunk, the branches, the leaves, and all of that stuff. So good rule of thumb when you're adjusting your lights, which are very easy with just a simple Phillips screwdriver, loosen that off and aim that more upright. Another thing I like about this guy here is that inside is a bulb. That this tree is still fairly small, and as that tree grows, we can very easily just twist off this top part. We got a nice rubber proof seal, we've got our lamp in there, then now we can just go and replace. And same thing, as this light burns out in 8, 10, 15 years, whatever it might be, you can very easily just go replace that with another MR16 bulb. And as that tree grows, if you want to increase the intensity of that light, you can also go do that just by swapping out the bulb inside, which makes it for a great light. Another thing I wanted to show you guys is a hex baffle. I talk about these in a lot of videos. Anytime you have a light that is close to a walking area, or you want to conceal the light source so as you walk beside it, that light's not shining in your eye, a simple hex baffle like this is a really easy way to go do that. Basically, usually you just throw it right under the glass here, go put this back on, and now we're going to have very little glare from the side and around here. It's going to really concentrate the light up here. It does take away a little bit from the light, but not a whole lot, so it's not something that I would typically worry about. But again, the nice thing about that is now, if you find that it does take away more than you would like for that tree, you can simply just go put a brighter bulb, still use that hex baffle, and get a great effect. So one of the best lights on the market by far, incredibly well built. The RS uplight that you can get in all our try it before you buy it kits. Go and plug it into our battery pack and test it out and really feel and see what that's going to look like before you go and have to buy a whole bunch. So guys, now I want to show you our WS wash light. Really good light, an alternative to the RS uplight. Anytime you have a smaller feature, a smaller shrub, long grasses, flowers, maybe a nice feature like this cool fence we have here, wine barrels, that kind of stuff, anything you don't need a super intense bright light for, this is a great option. Because if you notice, it has a wider angle lens, so it spreads that light a little bit further, which softens it, as well as it's got a frosted filter on there. So again, it makes that light a lot softer. So I recommend this anytime you have any structures, features, anything like that that's under 6 feet. It's a great light. In this case, what we've done is we've used it to highlight really our unique fence we have here, as well as a wine barrel we have in the background. Again, same as our uplight, there's an adjustable screw on this side that you can just simply unscrew, and then you can angle that a little bit. It comes with your LED bulb already built inside, and it same thing as that burns out, you can easily just undo these set screws, replace that bulb, and you can, if you find it's too bright, you can always lower the brightness of that. So again, a really good light, a great light if you're ever dealing with situations where you don't need something quite as bright, as intense as an uplight. Really good for highlighting small, wide features. So I want to show you an example here and distinguish when do you use an uplight and when do you use a wash light. So one thing I will say is with an uplight, an in-ground light is going to do pretty much the same thing. It's going to give you the same effect. And in a case like this, we actually have an in-ground light here. The reason being is because we didn't always have this bed around us. This used to be a grass area, so this light was actually right in the grass. So we didn't want to have something sticking out like out of the ground that we were going to have to trim around and stuff like that. So we actually put an in-ground light, and we just haven't come around to changing that yet. So we used an in-ground light, but we're going to get the same effect. It's just a matter of a maintenance thing. In-ground lights are more expensive because they have to live in the ground. They have to be able to hold out water better, so that's why you pay more for them. But now, when would you use a wash light and when would you use a uplight? So here's an example, and this is probably one of my favorite things to do, is take advantage of shadows on different features. So we have this nice brick wall in front of us, and I'll show you another example too, but whenever I have something like this, it's nice to go and highlight it, but if you can take it another step further and actually highlight whatever you have in front of it against the brick wall. What's cool is this is just some tall grasses. We're not super fancy, there's not much to see. Sometimes it'll be a small shrub. It's not an overwhelming feature to go and highlight, but what we can do now is, especially with a wash light I like to use in a lot of cases, and especially if it's a wider, smaller shrub, is actually go and place this in front of that small structure, so that not only are we highlighting the grass, but then we're creating all kinds of cool shadows against this back wall. So we're highlighting the wall, we're highlighting the plant, we're creating shadows, we're doing a bunch of stuff with one light, and it's a great way to get more bang for your buck. Now, when would I do that same scenario and use an uplight? Well, now if I had, say, again, a nice feature like this, and I had like a taller tree, just to my right I have like a small apple tree, but if that apple tree was right here, I would do the same thing. I would use an uplight so that I can get that light further up into the canopy, but also cast some shadows back onto the nice wall and the nice feature I have here. So that's really the difference, is when you would change and use these differently. If same thing on this brick wall that we have, it's not overly high. I mean, it's not even 6 feet high, so there's no point in using a light like this. It's going to be shooting light 15-20 feet up in the air, because really we're just going to be wasting all that. Whereas a wash light, you know, after 6 to 8 feet, it really disperses, so you're really maximizing the ability of that light. Now, another thing I wanted to point out, just as I'm kind of here, is same thing on a house. I talk a lot about highlighting the architectural features of your house, and say you have some nice brickwork, some nice stonework, whatever it is. One of the common mistakes I see a lot of people, a lot of landscapers do, is they'll take their, whether it be an accent light or a wash light, they'll bring it way far back from the house and they'll shine it at the house, and then what it does, it creates a big hot spot on the wall. And what you really want to do is you want to get that a lot closer. You want to get it somewhere in this vicinity, call it, you know, 8 inches to maybe 24 inches back, depending on how bright that light is and how high you need it to shoot. If you have a really tall house and you need to get that light 35 feet high, you're going to have a brighter light in there, so you're probably going to have to bring it a little bit further back so that you don't create too much of a hot spot here. But you're almost always better off, like I talk about even with some of the tree lighting, is get that light a little bit closer, use your adjustments, and angle that light more upright than towards the house. It's always a good rule of thumb, is whatever angle you think, you probably want to angle it up just a couple clicks higher, just to make sure that you're really getting the best effect out of that light. But if you're in the same scenario, and say this was a stone portion of the front of your house that you wanted to highlight, but it's only about 4 or 5 feet high, that's where I would do the same thing, but I would use a wash light now, because it's not going to be as bright, intense of a light, and it's going to create a really nice effect without a lot of glare and a lot of hot spots. So that's really the difference when I would use these. Same thing, almost any time I'm doing a tree over 6 feet tall, I'm using something like this. If I'm doing a bush or a shrub that's wider, that's not super high, I'm probably going to use a wash light. Hey guys, I really hope you enjoyed that video presentation with some great tips and tools on how to go and properly and effectively light up your landscape. And be sure, if you want your own free consultation video, just send me an email at cal@lightingdoctor.ca with a few pictures of your property, and we'll get back to you with some really cool ideas and ways to go and effectively light your property. And be sure to watch the videos after this one for more tips on how to install landscape lighting, as well as how to light up your landscape the best way possible.